All right. Well, hello everybody. This is Dan King from Fistbump Media, and I just want to take a minute to thank you for joining this webinar on business strategy, part of our whole webinar series. And we love doing these. Today's session is a pretty cool one, and it's called "Understanding Your Technical SEO Audit and How to Do the Fixes." And this one is pretty important, right? Because when it comes to SEO, a lot of people ask me, hey Dan, what's something I can do to really improve the SEO for my website and stuff too? And really the foundation of all of your SEO is really right here in this technical SEO audit. And what it does, and I'm going to kind of dig into this a little bit deeper, but really the big idea is that if your own website is not technically sound to help the search engines out, you're going to miss opportunities to get ranked. Okay, so it's really important to lay this foundation, to have a good, strong technical SEO foundation for your website, and then you can kind of build off of that with other strategies, link building or whatever, other content marketing and things like that and stuff too. But really, it's everything else is meaningless if this isn't set right in the first place. So today's session, we're going to cover a few different things. First, I want to talk a little bit about what a technical SEO audit looks like, right? And the things that it looks at within your website, right? So when we run a technical SEO audit, and on the webinar page here too, should have a link below for where you can get one of our technical SEO audits for actually really pretty cheap and stuff. But when we give you that audit, here's the things that it's going to kind of dig in and take a look at and stuff. Next, I like to look at what types of issues, the types of issues that impact your site. And there are some issues that we would consider big errors, right? Big red flags that beyond all else, we need to fix these things and correct these things, or else we're going to have big problems. Then there's warnings, things that will definitely help you out if you get these things corrected and stuff too, but not quite as extreme as the errors. And then there's some notices, right? It's like, hey, in a perfect world, if you took care of this stuff, you can do that as well too. The tool we use behind the scenes is called SEMRush, and really runs some fantastic in-depth technical SEO audits on a website. And then third, we're going to talk a little bit about how to fix some of these most common issues from your audit. There's some simple things that you can do within your website to help you correct the issues and improve your technical SEO foundation on the website. All right, so first, we want to dig in and really kind of answer this question. So what is technical SEO? And this is an answer to that I get from SEMrush. They publish some really great content and articles on this topic, and they answer it this way. And I'm not going to read everything word for word here, but this first line is really particularly really good. Technical SEO covers the crawl, index, and render portion of the crawl, index, rank model. At a high level, you need to learn how to answer these questions. And the questions have to do with things like, can the search engine bots crawl or find your site? Can they index pages? Can they render pages? Do they load properly? Do they understand the content that's on your page? So you're talking about, how you build your content in the first place, right? Are you sending search engines the proper signals for dealing with ranking content? And is this page even worthy of ranking, right? So these are all the things that when search engines crawl, when they're little bots, the Google bots and stuff, and the spiders, they kind of crawl your sites and look around for information. This is what happens. They'll kind of scan over everything and they'll look for all these technical details and stuff. So things like how fast the page loads is something that is going to record and go, this page takes way too long to load. There's some big problems there. Maybe too many really big images or slowing down page load speed. things like that, right? Is it able to understand the content that's on the screen? Is there too much the JavaScript and CSS code and stuff like that too that kind of makes up the pages? Is there too much of that in places that doesn't even matter, that's slowing down the load of the page? The content, our headings and things like that in the right place, so that it can kind of scan through, and from an AI, artificial intelligence perspective, kind of scan through and kind of figure out, this is what this content is about, right? Because if it can't figure out what the content is about, then it's not going to know how to index it. That becomes a technical SEO audit issue, right? So really, it's those questions right there that really kind of lay the foundation for what technical SEO is and the things that you need to be concerned about. Because if Google bots and other search engine bots cannot scan your site and figure this stuff out, then you've got zero chance of getting that content ranked at all and finding visitors and traffic related to those pages and those terms. Make sense? All right. Cool. So the next thing I'm going to dig into a little bit is I'm going to take a look at an actual technical SEO audit to show you a little bit of what you get if you get this technical SEO audit from us. What you get, what it looks like, the kind of information it'll provide you, and then we'll kind of talk about some of those fixes as well. The website I'm going to use is actually one of my websites, and we have a website. It's just a little website that we use sometimes called randompasswordgenerator.online, right? And that's the URL, that's the website address, randompasswordgenerator.online, and it's a simple site where you can go. Plug in your criteria. I want lowercase, uppercase, digits, special characters, how many characters you want in your password stuff too, and it'll generate a random password. It's really great for security stuff too. I'm not necessarily here to talk about the benefits of this website in particular, but it's a website that I have, and on it you can see really the core function of it is sitting there right at top, where you can generate your password. Got a little blog on it, and we've got some pages that kind of feed some cybersecurity, password security news, stuff like that too, as well, just to kind of get some fresh content on the website related to this topic of password security for your website. Okay, so the blog posts have to do with that, how to create a strong password, things like that. Because I want visitors to be able to find that stuff in search. Okay, so this is the website I'm using to run an audit. When you get one of the audits with us, this is the report that we'll deliver to you. And this report is a PDF copy. The first page, it'll just kind of show you a score. Okay, so you can see your overall site health, 79% out of 100%, obviously. It'll show me how many errors I have, and warnings and notices I have related to the scan that it just completed on the website. And it'll even show me what some of the top issues are. I got one page has a slow load speed. I've got one page that returned a 400 status code, and that's like a page not found error code. So essentially there's a link somewhere pointing to a page that doesn't exist on the website. I've got 14 internal links are broken, right? And we're going to take a look at some of this stuff too and show you, but it's even telling me right there, those are my top 3 issues. If I can correct those, I can dramatically increase and improve my technical SEO foundation for my website. Okay. And then it'll even dig in, starting with the errors. It'll show you details about, hey, you got 14 internal links are broken. You got the one page returning the 400 code. There's an incorrect page found on the sitemap. Really, realistically, those are probably all related to the same issue. If one link, one page doesn't exist the way it's expecting to, and the link is on 14 different pages on the website, that's going to result in 14 internal links are broken, right? So we'll see that here in a second too. Slow page load speed, and then it even shows me too not only the errors but the things that it checks in the error range of stuff. I got 0 pages returned 500 status code errors. I got 0 pages that don't have title tags. Things like title tags, and some of the meta description You see zero pages have duplicate meta descriptions, things like that are part of the errors. When it comes to things like that, right, duplicate content on your own website is a problem. Google doesn't like duplicate content. There's ways to deal with it. If you have a post published on one website, but also the same post published on another website, there's ways to kind of deal with that and tell Google which one's the original stuff. But there's no reason you should have duplicate content on your own website, right? So 2 pages that essentially say the same thing, Google scans over and says, yep, this reads one thing, and then this page reads the same exact thing, right? So duplicate content, that's a big problem, because Google's not sure how to index at which of the pages is it supposed to rank, right? Duplicate meta descriptions. So these are some of the big errors, and some of the more common errors that we see. Scrolling down a report, you get to a section where you have the warnings section. And here you see things like 72 issues with unminified JavaScript and CSS files, right? So this is some of the coding on the back end of the website that can, you see 12 issues with uncompressed JavaScript and CSS files. There's some simple ways we can do this. You don't have to know code in order to deal with it, but there's definitely some tools that can help you eliminate some of these issues and kind of improve page load speeds and your scores for technical SEO audit and stuff like that as a result. So anyway, I want to show you this PDF. I'm going to actually go somewhere else to look at this stuff, but this is the report that you would get. So I'm going to go to SEMRush, and this is kind of the back end of the tool where I actually go run these reports and stuff too. But you see that score, that 79 with the 17 errors, 122 warnings, and 9 notices. Same list of top issues that we talked about in the report, but even kind of breaks down for me too. That really, if you look at this, some of my biggest stuff is the crawlability, site performance, and internal linking. You know, the HTTPS stuff, almost 100%, which is really good and strong. And also too, the goal here is I have a 79% for my site health on this site. The top 10% of websites run an average of about 92%, right? So really, and I love to see if anytime we can get the score over a 90, that's great. The goal really isn't always to get 100 for your site, but if you can get over 90, we're actually clicking pretty good and stuff too. But even if I dig into this and stuff too, I can even look at some industries and see there's some industries, autos and vehicles. The average there runs about 76%, arts and entertainment 77%, computers and electronics 75%. So when I compare to even certain industries, you can see my score of 79 is actually not horrible. Definitely, if I want to be a high performing website, I want to work on that and get it closer to that 90, 92 range, where actually we want to kind of target. All right, so let me go take a look at these issues, because I want to talk about some of these issues in a little bit more detail. So when I dig into my report, I can see that 14 internal links are broken. Let me open that up real quick, and depending on the size of how you're watching this might be a little bit small. So, but basically, I can see that all of these pages here, right? All these pages on the website are reporting a broken link URL on that page. Okay, so that broken link URL that I see is one that's, for randompasswordgenerator.online/news password security, okay, is the URL. And it's returning a 404, it's a page not found error code. So let me take a look at the website real quick, right? I'm going to jump back. Even the homepage is one of them that was reporting that broken link and stuff, right? So I'm going to scroll down. I can even tell you, just for the sake of not searching and stuff, right? I've got password security news, and I can tell you too that link, that's using a widget in a footer for the website. Password security news is pointing to that URL, the news password security link that the report is shown as broken, right? So essentially, I have a link in my footer which is showing up on every page, right? And it's a small website, but it's showing up on every page of the website that's a bad link, right? So really simple, quick way to fix that, knowing that that's a bad link, right, is to just go to my widget and change it, right, and change it to the link that it should be. But if I want to get super fancy, there are redirection plugins. There's this one just called Redirection that I love in WordPress that I can say, okay, here's the bad link, and then redirect anything that's pointing to that bad link, redirect that to the good link. And that's always a good practice, especially if you're running some errors and stuff. And eventually the bots will kind of figure it out. But correct the problem where it is. In this case, in the widgets, right? Or if it's a link, maybe in a text in a blog post or something like that, correct that text. But also, if you can set up the redirection to redirect anything going to that bad link, that URL, redirect it to the page that it should be going to, that'll help out as well too, just in case there are other links out there somewhere that point to that, right? So that right there will take care of 14 of my errors that were showing up for this audit, right? And that's a good thing, right? So I can see also too, I have one page returned a 400 status code, okay? And lo and behold, look at that. That is my news password security link, right? So that page on my website is showing up as it's not found. And that's where the redirection tools and plugins stuff will help out, because you can redirect anything that's pointing to that link and make it land on a page that does exist, okay? And I'm looking in here too, right? And I do have a page for that, right? And that's the thing, is if I go to my page, go to all pages, I got my password security news. I'm gonna click on edit, and where my error is telling me I have news password security is that part of the URL, the slug. I just have password security is the actual slug for that page. So that's going to be the page that I want to redirect everything to. And there's the page. The page is live. It's the random password generator.online/password security is the page that everything should be pointing to. So I set up that redirection, boom, that corrects, and you can see how really making one fix can correct multiple errors and issues and stuff on the page, right? So again, without digging too deep and stuff too, but things like incorrect page found on sitemap, stuff like that too will impact that. I'll talk about this one real quick, and one page has a slow load speed, and a lot of times, there are several factors that could be impacting a page load speed, and that's where plugins like caching plugins, image optimization plugins, and stuff like that too will have a great impact on it. We can do some good analysis on individual pages to see exactly what's causing that page to load so slow. Sometimes it could be some of the code things that we'll talk about in a minute, the JavaScript and CSS things. Sometimes it could be I loaded a 5 megabyte image to my website when really I need to keep them under like 300K, instead of 5 megabytes, which would be 5,000K. I need to keep it under 300K. So a lot of people get in practices like that too. But there's image optimization plugins and stuff too, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in just a second. Some that I really like that will help with that, deal with page load speed. You can take a look at that page, run some speed tests just on that page that'll help that out. Looking down here in the warnings, right? I mentioned things like 72 issues with unminified JavaScript and CSS, uncompressed JavaScript and CSS files. So for that kind of stuff, let's take a look here. Here's one of the plugins that I really like, and this is one that we include this, and this is a premium plugin. There's some free plugins that do some of this functionality. Really, a lot of the caching plugins, fastest cache, super cache, stuff like that, will do a lot of these types of functions and stuff. I really like Hummingbird, and there's a free version of Hummingbird, but I really like Hummingbird Pro because of some of the extras and extra power that it kind of packs in there. And Hummingbird Pro is part of WPMU Dev, their premium set of tools. And it's something that we actually include in our Basic Plus hosting. Basic Plus gets a lot of these premium performance plugins and tools included. Plus, we'll send like monthly performance reports and stuff. So you'll see this data and stuff like that too on a regular basis to understand if something's changed or scores have been impacted by something or whatever. But one of the things that it does is it allows things like gzip compression, right? So you see here, without getting too technical, where if I enable that compression, right, it's going to compress appropriate JavaScript and CSS files and stuff for me. There's also some asset optimization where I can go through and say, boom, let's take this JavaScript and this CSS that might not be so important, and it'll tell me which ones, and maybe I can kind of bump them down and deprioritize them, so maybe they load in the footer instead of in the header. Because that's one of the things Google's going to be looking at, how fast this page load. If you got a bunch of code loading up in the header and the first thing of the website, some of it doesn't even impact what's happening on the page. If you can move that down to the footer and make it the last, then you'll get to what's called the first meaningful paint, right? So first stuff starts loading up there much more quickly, and that impacts performance, right? Page load speed is a very important technical SEO consideration because Google has seen too that the slower a page loads, the more likely somebody is to bounce from that page and leave, right? So Google doesn't want to provide that for solutions for people who visit Google to try to find answers to their questions. So that's definitely a ranking factor, and you don't have to get to super fast, 2/100ths of a second page load speed or anything like that. But definitely the faster you can make it, the more things you can do to set yourself up for success with that, the better. So really, a plugin like Hummingbird Pro, and a lot of the caching plugins and stuff that have any of this gzip compression and asset optimization stuff, they will do some of that compression and minifying and stuff like that too of certain, the JavaScript and CSS coding and everything on the website for you. So you don't have to be a coder to figure that out. The tools will help you figure that out, install the right plugin, get it turned live and stuff like that too as well. Things like, and actually while I'm talking about Hummingbird Pro, there's another great one too called SMrush. It's also from the WPMU Dev suite of tools. There's a free SMrush, which helps optimize images so that you take those big 5 megabyte images and make it a more appropriate file size and stuff for viewing on the web like this. Also, there's a premium version, the SMrush Pro. That's also part of the suite too that you get if you do our Basic Plus hosting with us. All right. Also, I want to point out a few things here too. This one shows, this is part of the warnings, I have 13 pages that have what's called low text to HTML ratio. Okay, and what that means is that really that there's going to be a certain amount of HTML coding and stuff like that too on the back end of the page that's got to the Google bot has to sort through and your browser has to sort through and stuff like that. But compared to that, how much text is on the page, right? So if that ratio is low and there's a lot more coding on the page than there is actual text content, then that creates a problem, right? And it creates a problem because Google doesn't really understand then what are you talking about, right? So we have a term that we like to talk about is thin content on a page, right? So if I have an about page on my website or a page about services that I offer, and I've got a little 50-word paragraph on there that just tries to explain everything that you need to know about me or about my product or service that I'm trying to create my page for, that's not enough content. That's thin content, right? You definitely want to try to boost up. I like to suggest over 300 words of content on a page. Typically the more the better, but also at the same time you need to strike that balance of of what's the right amount of content to say what you need to say. So really kind of 300 words is kind of a good minimum that I suggest for how much you should have. And then beyond that, really how many words does it take to communicate well what you want to try to say? Okay, so it's not about, I need to make this 2,000 words. If you have 2,000 words on a page and it's all extremely meaningful, then that's good. But if you have 2,000 words on a page and it's just kind of fluff content, you're trying to stuff some keywords in there and stuff too, then that's bad. And Google kind of figure that stuff out, right? So anyway, we want to try to avoid this thin content and have low text to HTML ratios within there. So get back to the issues. And that's not a tool that you do. That's just a looking at the page and going, I don't have enough content on it. Okay, pages don't have an H1 heading, right? So again, this is a formatting kind of issue where you want to have typically like the title of a blog post, for example, is going to be an H1 heading text. If you use text within the blog post, you use it like an H2 heading text. And that kind of hierarchical structure Google looks at, so if you have, an H3, then an H2 underneath it or something like that too, then it kind of gets confused. It wants to see, you start with H1, which is typically going to be the page title or the blog post title, and then any other big sections underneath that should be H2s. Think of about like an outline, and essentially that's what Google is doing, is they're kind of scanning over the site. They're trying to see that outline, and it's okay to have H3s, but then they should be H3s should be nested then under like sub bullet points almost underneath your H2s, and then you can go back to another H2 is another main kind of topic within there and stuff too. So use your heading structure well, because that stuff that foundationally Google helps Google scan it. The more difficult you make for Google to scan your content and understand what's on the page, the less likely you are to actually get rankings for anything that page has to say. And again, you see 6 pages, low word count, really, and that's essentially the same thing as the low text to HTML ratio. If I look deep at those two, it'll really be a lot of the same pages. And there's that duplicate again, right? Duplicate H1 and title tags. 4 pages don't have meta descriptions, right? I can look at those, and the meta descriptions are essentially when you're working on a page or a blog post. If you're using a tool like Yoast SEO, another one that I really like, and this is from the WPMU Dev suite of tools, that if you get Hummingbird Pro and Smush Pro and stuff with our Basic Plus hosting, you also get Smart Crawl, which is kind of like Yoast, probably a little bit on steroids because it does several other things that Yoast doesn't do. But it's where you set this the meta description, the title and meta description, right? And these are really important too, because it's something that a user doesn't really see on the page itself, right? But when you look at this snippet here, right, that is the text you put in here for your title, and what you put in for your description is what makes up what shows up on Google. So Google uses that, right? And from a smart perspective, if you're focusing on a certain keyword, say in this case cybersecurity, you want to make sure cybersecurity is part of the title, that it's also part of the URL for the website, right? The page slug, and then it's also in the description, right? So that way, that helps it kind of scan, as Google scans over that, go, oh, this is a post, obviously about cybersecurity, right? So that's how it's going to try to rank it and stuff too. So it's not only important from helping Google understand what's on there, but this is also kind of your sales pitch too on Google and on the search engines as they index the page and index the site too. This is what somebody sees as the search result, right? So not only use things like this description as something that helps you with your keywords, but use it as kind of your sales pitch to people who are on Google looking for this content to, hey, this is what you're going to find over here on this page. Click, you don't have to say click here, but basically what you're wanting to try to do is convince them, click here, come click on me so you can come see this content because it's what you're looking for. So use that. It doesn't have to be something that's actually in the blog post, but definitely write that unique for the blog post to help convince people to come over. Okay. And so those are, again, some of the big things too, right? And if you look down in some of the areas that I don't have errors here, there's a lot with those title tags. I don't have problems with some of these title tags and title description, meta description things and stuff too. But I'll talk real quick too about notices here. Notices is going to be some of the stuff that it's not really going to have a huge impact on, ranking, or not ranking or whatever. But things like, here I've got 4 outgoing external links contain no follow attributes. And that's, without getting too technical, there are different ways that you can create links on your website so they can be follow or no follow and stuff, which helps kind of give credit and stuff like that too as well. That's something that's really listed here in more notices because Google has even recently kind of bumped down the value of what's classified as no follow and stuff too. Google reads and understands that stuff pretty well at this point to understand which links need to have value and can have value and stuff too. So things like follow, no follow are not quite as important, but just something you can kind of keep an eye on. So notices, again, not a big deal. Things like one page only has one incoming internal link, right? So if you can create more links around your website that point to another page in a relevant way and stuff, then that will obviously help kind of take care of that notice and stuff too. But again, these are minor issues and not a big deal. So that is that with running through some of the issues, and I guarantee you that if I were to run all of these issues and fix these the broken links and the page not found, stuff like that too, and really drop a lot of those errors, I would probably pretty easily get myself up, if not all the way to 90, pretty close to 90. I have some websites that run 96, sometimes 97. When we do this stuff, because we really try to kind of keep that stuff clicking pretty well and stuff for them. But that's some of the issues there. So really kind of summarize some of the stuff. Let me get back to this. To really kind of summarize some of the things that are really going to help you out when it comes to getting your SEO technical audit and stuff, are paying attention to the usefulness of the content on the page. That's where we see, can bots understand the content on your page? Does the content itself, is the heading structure, all that stuff laid out well so that the bots can understand it? Can search engine bots crawl and find the page? Can they index the page? Can they render the page? Those are all some of those technical things where, if it's full of broken links and things that land on pages that don't exist, and coding issues that slow it down and take it a long time for it to render and load the page, those kinds of technical issues and stuff too. So good caching plugins, image optimization plugins, things like that will really help out those elements quite a bit. Redirection is a great tool. There's another great tool that'll scan your site for broken links. It'll check internal links and external links. It's called Broken Links Checker. I believe I think it's changed names a couple times, but Broken Links Checker is basically what it is. And a plugin like that will scan all of the links on your website and report to you which ones don't work, whether it's a link to another page on your website internally or a page out to somewhere else. And you have an opportunity to correct those links or just remove them because maybe it just doesn't add that much value stuff or whatever. But there's definitely a tool, Broken Links Checker. If you do that, I don't recommend leaving it running to continually always be checking links. Use it, have it run a full scan and check all the links and stuff too, and then make your corrections as you need to. But then once you're done with that, disable the plugin and turn it off, because it is kind of a resource hog and will slow down your website. So it's kind of like it'll help you fix some technical issues, but it'll create others because it just slows it down in general. So look at those things. Those are some of the tools that will help you out as you're looking to improve your technical SEO. Now, I encourage you, and this is the deal, it may be a limited time thing too, so if you're watching this sometime after this is being recorded, the offer may not still stand too, but at the time of this recording and for the near future at least, we have a technical SEO audit, and you'll find that here on the page, on the webinar page itself. It's a gig over on Fiverr that we have, so it's $5 gets you the full technical SEO audit that we looked at, where you can get all of this information and figure out how good your website is set up for all of this stuff. And right now, I've got a special deal going for that too. So that if you buy that, when we're done, leave a review on it and stuff, and I'll give you a $100 credit towards any new website development work and stuff that you want to try to get done. So hit us up if you want to try to use that. If you get the technical audit and want to try to use that, I'll have that conversation with you and see how we can use that credit to help you improve your website. So with that, I just want to say thank you, and boom, have a great day. Let us know if you need anything.